All right. So again, thank you for being on. This Q&A is to answer any questions that you may have, but also just kind of give you some background information so that you know why all the questions are arising, especially with all of the department cuts and all of that that's got everyone um, questioning, even in the for-profit arena, nonprofit, whatever. Excuse me. So who can benefit from today's session? From nonprofits and charities to small business owners, entrepreneurs, animal rescues, school administrators and teachers, child care centers, senior service organizations, veterans and disability agencies, and so many others. So, as a quick uh, check, what kinds of organizations do we have on today, or what is your focus on why you are signed in today? Anyone?
I'm a nonprofit.
Okay, Harold, and what does your nonprofit do?
We provide CDL training to justice involved individuals or people looking for a second chance.
Okay. And Harold, have you already received any grants, including
No,
government
no,
grants, or you're just starting?
it's just starting.
Okay, okay. Anthony says good morning. I'm looking at the chat now. Okay, I'm clearing the chat. Great, great, great. Anyone else? What kind of organization?
I am a first-time farmer. My current vision is to have a hoop house for just green leafy vegetables, one for root vegetables, one for fruit, and I want to do chickens. I have not written any grants, and I haven't. Of course, I haven't received any either. But I'm just getting started. And
Okay,
I'm in Pine Bluff, Arkansas.
great, great, great. And while we're talking about grants, you guys, I also want to mention sponsorships. Do not think that you cannot go after sponsors even though you haven't gone after a grant. Some of my initial organizations that I've worked with over the past 30 years or more, they they've gotten sponsorships while they're going after grants. So you even like Walmart, though they give grants, they also give sponsorships. One of my first organizations that I got that was brand new, we got them $10,000 in sponsorships from Walmart, backpacks filled with school supplies, and then they even got, I think it was $1,500 along with that. So as we're talking about grants, a lot of the information that you're going to use to go after sponsorships is what will go into your deck for your sponsorship letter. But don't think that you only have to look at grants. Okay. And also, you guys, as I move through my presentation, please stop me with any questions. I love questions as I go. All right. Anyone else want to say something about the organization? Letitia, I'm going to save you for later.
Okay, great.
Yeah, yeah, because I want to show them something with you. So, um,
I have a family.
go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I have a family charitable foundation, not for profit. We got started just before COVID broke out, but we were able to take some tours to George Washington Carver Memorial. What we're trying to do is to let the people know no matter what kind of problems come in your way and what all is on your shoulders, you can overcome it. Here was a person born a slave, kidnapped, left to die because he was sick, raised by somebody who was supposed to be our enemies, white people, and being left to grow up in tune. He got in tune with nature and created a whole lot. And he gives credit to God. And he got letters from the President of the United States, Albert Einstein, Henry Ford, and other people. And he started working at Tuskegee Institute. And we can do it. We don't have hardly any of the problems he had facing him. We crying like little bitty babies. And we
Yeah.
got
And now, how do you say your name? Is it Tadar?
yes,
Tadar,
Wazir.
where are you located?
Marshall, Missouri. You're my cousin. I met you a few times there at your place with Curtis
Oh, okay.
Campbell.
Okay.
But
You know what, Tadar, your picture's little. I don't have my glasses on, but thank you for being on.
okay.
And hey,
And
cousin. I can't wait to hear more about what you're doing now. Have you received any funding before? Did you say? I'm sorry.
No, no, I was
Okay.
trying to do things through investments, try to have money coming in on the side, and those got knocked down. One of them I think is political, but because it's so they say the guy will be copying the plea that's been over 2 years ago. Will be a few $100 million involved in it, but um, we're trying to help people who need help.
Okay. All righty. Well, thank you for that. Anyone else before I move forward?
Yes, I just wanted to share. You asked us to share, what we're here for. I have a few things on the list that apply to me. I don't have like a nonprofit, just want to get into that arena. But for me, I'm an educator, so I would like to provide some educational services.
Hmm.
And then also, homestead that's focused on health and healing, with some natural, just physical, emotional care, and then just other efforts I'm interested in expanding. And so I'm hoping to learn more and how I can accomplish my goals.
Okay. Now, and LaShawn, where are you?
I am in Conway County. We actually spoke. There was a session you were hosting, and so that's my next thing is I'm hoping you'll share your calendar during this session so that I can know when your next nonprofit session is going to be.
Oh, okay. I'm in the middle of, well, we're having session 2 today of the current one. I don't know if you'd want to get in that one. There's still you can still get caught up with us. But the next one will be after my grant class. My grant class starts in April, and I always hold one after the other because a lot of times people that are in one class roll right into the other. And I found that when I have them going on at the same time, and that person has to attend 2 classes in the month, it doesn't work as well. So I always have them follow each other. Okay. Um, Now, again, you guys, as we go, if there are any questions, please, please, please stop me because you might forget what was on your mind right at that time. And it doesn't have to be in relation to what I'm covering on the screen. Okay. So, what has everyone in a frenzy? Well, according to CNN, since February 2025, 22nd of this year, approximately 30,000 federal civil service um, employee workers have been placed, and that should be ED, on administrative leave, laid off, or issued immediate termination notifications as a part of the Trump administration's Department of Government Efficiency Plan. Most layoffs happened just in 2 days. That was the 12th through the 14th of February. So there's a lot going on to not only that's impacting those that are immediately in this number, but for the trickle off effect, we're wondering, okay, what's going to happen next, right? Especially if we're going after grants. So there are about 22 million federal workers in the United States. These are the 10 most common jobs. So I'm trying to, as you guys are watching the news, because the more that you understand what you're hearing, it'll give you clarity, and it will also not make you sweat as bad when you have a little bit more of the background information. So that's why I'm covering this before we go further into grants. Okay. So nurses, 110K, miscellaneous administration and program, 108K. And you guys will be able to also, with the recording, go back over this, freeze frame, all of that kind of stuff. So I won't go over each one, but I just kind of want you to see what makes up this 2.22 million of federal workers. Okay. Now, breaking that on down, like HUD, community planning and development, 83% were fired. Okay. Agency for Internal Development, about 20% fired. Energy, 10% fired. Forest Service, 9.7%. Now, if you look down below, here's the number of employees. So when we go back to HUD, if 83% were fired, that's 780 employees fired. Okay. National Oceanic, 6.4%. National Institutes of Health, 5.3%. I'm kind of jumping around. Again, you'll be able to look at this more clearly when you play this back if this is of interest to you. Food and Drug Administration, 89 employees fired, 4.5%. Defense, 5.4%. 5.4K employees, 8% of the defense. Okay. Now, you guys also understand that other nations are looking at this. We have friends, we have enemies. Okay. So what impact would this have on the nonprofit sector and grants when we're looking at this? The current administration is freezing a massive swath of government funding until agencies review their programs for compliance and the president's recently signed executive orders, sparking widespread confusion and worry in the healthcare and nonprofit agencies that are heavily funded by government resources. Okay, moving my little menu around. What is a grant and where does it come from? So I'm asking this now because we're talking about what's going to happen with all this federal funds, but let's look at where grants come from and what they are. They're a financial donation from an entity to support projects that align with its mission. It's important for you to remember that because no matter what grant you're going after, you have to make sure that you're aligning with their mission. And that's why they give you their mission statement. They show what their interests are, what are their pillars of funding. You have to pay attention to that. Because so often I see people that are new in the grants arena just submit because they see a grant is available, but they didn't even see if their goals and what their objectives are match with the mission of the funding source. Okay. So the organization that awards these funds is referred to as the funding source or grant maker or funder, or there's all kinds of different terms, grantors. So there are three primary funding sources, and they are government bodies, federal, state, and local governments, foundations, private foundations, public charities, and philanthropic organizations, and corporations, which are for-profit businesses. Now, also, to take a little bit of the worry out of people, if you didn't see my video where I was talking about it, based off of all of the studies with grant funding in the United States, only 30%, now they're large grants, but only 30% of grants that are distributed in the United States come from government sources. The other 70% comes from foundations and corporations and those that fall into those categories, okay? Federal grant money comes from taxpayers' funds, excuse me, that Congress authorizes through the appropriations process. The federal grant collects revenue from taxes on income, payroll, corporations, etc. Now, I know that we all hate to pay taxes. We don't like taxes, all of that. But when you look at what your taxes are doing, it'll make the burden of that a little bit easier. See, we don't think about where the dollars come from when we're asking, but you're paying into that. Okay. So, how the process works: the administration proposes a budget for each federal agency, and then Congress debates the budgets and authorizes funding for the grant programs. Now, this right here at number 2 is where the Trump administration, back a few slides back, when I said that they're saying they're evaluating the departments, seeing what's happening with the dollars, and see if they align with the new bill that he has now signed. Okay. So he has halted a lot of that funding and reviewing to see what impact, first of all, is it going to have. See, a lot of times we will stop something without thinking about what all is tied to that. So that's giving him that leeway where he's saying, we're going to evaluate. Oop, uh-oh, I don't want to lose you guys. I'm getting ready. Where's my plug? My computer's running out of juice. 1 second. So there's a ripple effect. There's cause and effect always, even when you work in government and you're cutting programs drastically. Okay. All righty. Moving on. The president signs the appropriations bill into law, and this is following the Congress and debates and budgets and authorization and all of that. And then federal agencies distribute the funds through their grant programs. So that's the brief process that happens. Now, and that's why government grants, if any of you have only looked at government grants and not looked at other funders like from those private foundations, corporations, and all of that, there's a vast difference in the way the grant applications look. Government grants are a lot thicker and they're a lot more tedious. That's why when I teach grant writing, I don't encourage you going after grants in the government entity initially, because that's like being 5 years old trying to write a college thesis, because all that paperwork, how the bill, what was the bill, what generated those dollars, what tax dollars are is this grant, has covered this grant, the bill, how it went through the House, then the Senate, and da 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 da. All that stuff is in that paperwork, so it can be very overwhelming. And so that's why, again, when I'm teaching, I teach you to go after the grants that aren't as tedious, but the same kinds of questions exist no matter what kind of grant you're going after. So why not learn with through the easier process, then go after the big boys, okay? So no need to worry. There are still other funding sources. So right now, I'm just showing you the 52 wealthiest charitable foundations. So only nonprofit foundations are included in what I'm going to show you over the next few slides. These are organizations that are part of a larger company, or I mean, organizations that are large, are part of larger companies like holding companies aren't even included in this list, even though they give grants too. So to give you an example, holding companies are companies like Goldman Sachs, Nestle, Berkshire Hathaway, JP Morgan. You know, those are a lot of the larger holder companies that also give grants. This list also doesn't include banks that also give grants, like Bank of America, US Bank, Wells Fargo, and others. And then companies like Target and Starbucks, none of them are included in this 52 wealthiest charitable foundations list that I'm getting ready to show you. So look at this. And what I'm just, you'll be able to also look at this more closely when, if you want to, when you play the recording back. But I wanted to just show you on the far right, this is their endowments, the monies that they have available when they're giving. Okay. So Howard Hughes Medical Institute, right here, number 8, 27.1 billion. Novo Nordisk Foundation, the very top, 167 billion. Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, 50.2 billion. Okay. Silicon Valley Community Foundation, 13.6 billion. So it goes on and on. The Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, 11.4 billion. The W.K. Kellogg Foundation, number 28, 8.2 billion. Rockefeller Foundation, number 32, 6.3 billion. I'm naming some of the ones that through my clients, I've seen them already getting funding through these. The John D. and Catherine T. MacArthur Foundation, 6 billion. Children's Investment Fund, 5.9 billion. Duke Endowment, 3.4 billion. Oh, and the other reason why I'm showing you the third column, United States, Sweden, because I want you to see where most of this money is coming from. Most are US funders. That's why even when I develop a nonprofit for a client and they're out of the country, we mostly develop a fiscal agent for them in the country, because most of the time funders want to fund to a local organization that's in the States that can still do international projects. Okay. Large nonprofits are more likely to receive government grants. So I want to show you this because a lot of the organizations that have called me are small organizations that don't get government grants anyway. So a lot of times we start worrying about something that shouldn't even be a worry. So while 30% of US nonprofits receive government grants, 55% of organizations with budgets above 5 million receive at least one government grant. This is consistent with previous research that has found that large nonprofits are more likely to have the capacity to go through the arduous and lengthy government grants application process. Excuse me. So just seeing it as a visual, proportion of nonprofits receiving government grants. First, look at their budgets. The people that are calling me that are worried don't have budgets like this. Okay. Can a nonprofit and a for-profit collaborate? Absolutely. And that's why I was saying, even small businesses, entrepreneurs, this information is vital for you because so often, for instance, your business may be missing opportunities to expand your footprint and reach so many people that normally can't afford you. That if you're not interested in having your own nonprofit, you can collaborate with a nonprofit and reach those individuals that normally can't afford you, but grants can cover their costs to receive the service that you provide. Okay. Any questions? None? Okay. So, yes, again, nonprofits and for profit companies can collaborate, often forming partnerships where each organization benefits from the other's strengths, such as nonprofits accessing resources and expertise from for profits, while for profits gain positive community perception also by supporting social causes. However, it's important to maintain clear boundaries and ensure compliance with legal and tax regulations when structuring such a collaboration. Meaning that it's clear where, like for instance, if a nonprofit is collaborating with a for profit because maybe that for profit has individuals that can offer financial literacy training, then that nonprofit, through the grants that are received or sponsorships or whatever, is paying that consultant under that for profit or paying that for profit for that training. It's clear where the dollars are going. So there's, as long as you are showing the track record of your funding or how the dollars are flowing, that's what is meant by this last statement. Okay. Any questions, comments? So now I want to introduce you to someone that is working perfectly, having a for-profit and a nonprofit, and that is Letitia. Letitia, are you there? Can you come on?
I am here. I'm just not on camera. I'm getting ready. I have class coming up. So I'm sorry, I'm not ready yet. But I am here. So can you
Well,
hear me
we've got
okay?
you
All
on the
right.
screen.
Oh, okay, great.
Um, and I have you on the Kelly Clarkson show because, for one, it is such a great video. But tell them about your for-profit, what you do in your for-profit, and then what you've started to do now over the years.
Okay. Okay, great. Hi, everyone. I am a roofing gutter contractor. I'm in construction. I've been the CEO of my company for 21 years. And met Sherita about 11 and a half years ago, um, and talked to her about wanting to give back to the community in a bigger way. I was doing a small program where I would donate 1% of my roofing jobs to a school of my client's choice. So whatever school they wanted it to go to, I would give it to them. But I just didn't feel like I was making a bigger impact. And I met Sherita at a convention, and said I wanted to start a foundation. And she talked me through the whole process. We got it up and running. And just 4 days ago, we just celebrated our 10-year anniversary as the Lime Foundation. So it's very exciting for us because we've been on a couple TV shows, including the Kelly Clarkson show. Our nonprofit helps our young people that are underserved and at-risk youth, ages 16 to 24, find amazing gainful employment in the construction trades. So we introduce up to 24 different trades to them, and then we help them get a job when they finish and graduate from our program. So it's been great that have my company now donates 5% of every roofing job that we do to the Lime Foundation. And it's just been an amazing, beautiful journey as we continue to grow.
Thank you, thank you. And again, and thank you for what you wrote to me because that was just an honor. Um, what I want to do is I want to show a little bit of your video. Um, Letitia is a perfect example of having a for-profit and a nonprofit. And Letitia, would you say that having the nonprofit has definitely benefited also your for-profit?
Absolutely. So on every roofing bid that I have, I actually have a little note that says that this project benefits the Lime Foundation, and I include the website. I also have a little video that I send when I send every proposal out. And I can't tell you the countless amount of clients that when I ask them, well, what made you decide to go with my company? They have said that, I could be $10,000 more than another roofer, and they signed my contract because they like the fact that we are giving back to our community and helping at-risk youth. It's every week that someone's telling me that they've chosen my company over someone else because of that. So it's been huge for us.
Outstanding. Outstanding. Well, I want to show this video and let's see. Oh no, what did I just do? Thought I had it up. Come on.
While you're doing that, can I just say one more thing? You were talking
Absolutely.
about how we can work with for-profits. So we bring in contractors to speak to the kids about their industries. So we get to pay those contractors a stipend. It's just a small stipend. It's $250 to cover, their gas or whatever. Most of the time they say no, they won't make us pay. But there's people they're like, yeah, we'll take it. So that's what we do is and then all the grants that we do, we build that stipend into our grants. So our grant funders are covering that cost of paying those contractors that stipend. So it all gets covered. So it's just been a really great situation for us.
And you guys, what you're probably not hearing is that would be a burden on her for-profit, on her bottom line, paying that out if she didn't have a nonprofit that is now uh, handling that component. Okay. See, I've seen a lot of people that they're trying to do a lot of things, but they're burdening their for-profit when they could have the two entities, and grants and sponsorships could be covering what normally your for-profit would be covering. Okay. So let me start this video.
Example of how hard work and staying grounded can lead to tremendous success. She's not only the CEO of her own roofing company, but she's dedicated to giving others the opportunity to succeed in all facets of life. That's why she is today's rad human. All right, from the Lime Foundation, let's say hi to Letitia Hankey. How you doing, Letitia? Hello.
Hey,
Oh, you have a great smile.
thank you.
So infectious. I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing really great now.
Awesome. Well, okay, you say a lot of your work ethic comes from adversity you faced as a kid, right? So
Yes.
what was that like, and how can people maybe have the same story as you to kind of feel like they can do what you've done?
You know what I just thought about, Letitia? Kelly Clarkson might have this where it's copyrighted, which means YouTube will take down my video.
Okay.
So
Yeah, it's on YouTube, so anyone can go on YouTube and find it.
yeah, so I'll give everyone the video because
Yes.
I don't want them to take down this video and then everyone can't have the rest of the training.
Oh yeah, that's
So
right.
what I'll make sure that that everyone that you get this, because it's an amazing video. Because Letitia, I have a question. Before you and I talked, did you know what all your nonprofit could do?
No, I had no idea. It wasn't until you were talking about the NFL at the time was a nonprofit. And I'm just like, wait a second, that's a gazillion-dollar industry. How's that possible? And I thought I was going to have to start a nonprofit for all the things. I have a senior activity program for seniors, for better health and exercise. I have an arts program for kids that were bullied. And then I have my Next Gen Trades Academy. And I thought I was going to have to start 3 separate nonprofits. And you're like, no. You said said they can just be programs, 3 programs under one nonprofit. And it blew my mind because part of the reason why I never started it, because I knew how much work it was going to take to try to do, 3 separate nonprofits. So it's been great to be able to have just, one nonprofit with those 3 programs. And now we have the Auto Academy coming up and the Space Academy. So we have all these other and our affordable housing programs about to start up. So now we have all these programs under this one nonprofit.
Yes, yes. And I mean, and you guys, when you see the interview, they bring on others that are a part of her program through the arts. I mean, and she's a drummer and just, and this is why it's so important for you guys to design your nonprofit around your passions, because your nonprofit should shift with you also. The same way that I've left Los Angeles and was traveling all over the world speaking and teaching, I'm more in my passion now here on a farm with 40 chickens, ducks, guinea, goats, a horse. I mean, and I'm still, obviously being on with you guys, I'm still doing my business development training. I'm still forming nonprofits. I'm still teaching grant writing. So your organization can be all of those different layers. And so it's important for you to understand that, and it can all exist under one umbrella. Think of a YMCA. When you walk in that door, they have tutoring classes that you probably didn't know they had, scuba diving, swim classes for toddlers, senior square dancing, youth basketball, after school programs, tutoring for high school students. All these things exist under one umbrella. So in that case, also you want to watch how you name your organization, because if you notice now, the Y is just called the Y and not the Young Men's Christian Association, because their mission changed. When they first were established, they were for young men and Christians. That was their focus. But it was also at a time when when agriculture was switching over to manufacturing. So now farmers, instead of being on their farms all day, they were traveling into town a long way and working in the factory. But then they'd have that long trek back home to get to their farms. So the YMCA gave them a place to sleep and to stay, and where they could go back and go to work that next morning. So a lot of you may not know the inner workings of that, but initially when your organization starts, your focus may change based on the needs of the community. When war broke out and all of those workers in factories went to war, those factories were getting ready to shut down. Well, those women now, and that's when you see Rosie the Riveter and all of that, and women started working in factories. Well, when women started working in factories, what happened to the homes? What happened in the home life of these women who are working in the factories and men are away at war? What happened at home? Anybody?
Children not getting the proper training, so the future changes.
Children
And
not getting getting the training that they need, the parenting. And when kids aren't getting parenting, what are some of the things that's going to happen?
all kind of crazy stuff.
They get in trouble.
They get in trouble. Crime increases. Young ladies are getting pregnant. Substance abuse. What kind of programs did the YMCA start creating? Matter of fact, they looked at the time of, like, back in the 70s when mini bikes came out. They had I forget the mini bike program, but they had that program which encouraged kids to do well in school so they could be a part of that mini bike program. They started after school tutoring. When gangs got bad, they started gang prevention and intervention programs. The YMCA consistently changes to meet its target population. I'm saying that because all of you know of a YMCA. Mimic them, meaning whatever programs that you are offering or plan to offer, make sure that you are meeting the needs of the target population that you serve. Well, what also started happening as they expanded their programs is they were serving more than young men and Christians, but the name didn't fit. So now when you go to a YMCA, you just see the Y. They had to go through major branding, which was costly. So that's why I'm saying watch how you name your organization initially, because you are going to grow. You're going to expand in ways that you could not have even imagined. Okay? Any questions, comments? Letitia, thank you so much. And I am so, so, so proud of you.
Thank you, Sharita, for literally changing not only my life forever and my family, but all of these hundreds and hundreds of kids that we've put through the program. You really don't know the significant difference you've made in their lives. So thank you as well.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. I mean, when I saw you and when I've seen organizations that I've worked with on, like when Oprah was on, I can't tell you how many of the countless organizations were on Oprah and on Ellen and on Larry King. And you guys, as I'm sitting there on tele and watching them on television, I'm crying like it's me, because when you know that you've had just a little bit of input, and that's what I'm saying, you guys collaborate with each other because you will feel the joy in your heart like it's you. It's like when you're watching someone and they're getting an award or whatever, it doesn't have to be you. Do what you can do to collaborate and to make a difference because the same joy that they're feeling, you will feel it. So again, Letitia, thank you. And again, I'm proud of you and I can't wait to continue to watch you. Any questions or comments?
I was just thinking you were asking what's
Did I cut off or did that? Hello?
can you hear me okay?
Oh, yes, I can. Okay.
Okay. Just in follow up to the one question you asked about what happened in homes when the mothers had to leave to go into the workforce. You already said it, but I was thinking about, after school programs. I'm a firm believer in after school programs, especially like Boys and Girls Clubs. And
Mm-hmm.
they do so much with the dollars that they
Mm-hmm.
receive. And so, yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's see. Any other questions? And thank you for that. Where are you? Thank you for that.
Yes, LaShawn here, Conway County. Yes, the
Conway
same.
County.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, LaShawn. Um, let's see. What was I getting ready to do? You guys, you see my screen? Do you see my screen? Let's see. I want to go back. Okay, so you guys see my screen again, right?
Yes.
All righty. So now, what do grant funders want to know? So now this whole next segment for the next hour, I want to talk about um, what grants are available for you. I want to answer any questions you may have. I want to talk about how do you structure yourself. I want to do that. Now, again, I do have a grant class coming up, so I want to give you guys as much info as possible. Some of you might be interested in being in my next class that's coming up, but if not, how can I still help you be prepared the best way that I can just through this 90-minute forum? So the main questions in a grant application typically include, what problem are you trying to solve? So when you think about your particular program, what problem are you wanting to solve? And the only way you can think about that is you also have to think about, who are you serving? Because when you think of what problem am I trying to solve, there's thousands on top of thousands of problems, but the way that exist in our communities, in our society, in the world. But narrow that down. What programs are you offering and what problems or issues will they solve? Do you guys understand what I'm saying? So someone come on and tell me, what is your particular program?
Okay, well, I will share. My
Okay,
particular
Nikki?
program would be Joshua's House, which
Uh-huh.
would be to help give resources and just help with the inner city and the people in the surrounding areas with the different resources, helping moms and dads with just the information they need to continue to push forward and being parents, help the
Now, stop,
children
stop
with.
right there for me. Stop right there
uh,
for me. You've got to be a little more specific. So if you're helping moms and dads with resources, again, that's really broad.
okay.
But what kind of resources are you wanting to help mom and dad with?
Okay. Okay. I'm just writing some stuff down right quick. Okay, so with that being said, I would say that I would like to help them solve like different problems with their kids at school. Like if the kids are getting in school for drugs or bad attitudes, fighting and different stuff like that, just having some type of support for the parents to understand, help the parents understand the behaviors, help the children understand the behavior, and just some resources to try to help them
Okay.
come
Okay.
out.
Okay. So then what problem are you trying to solve? So based off of what you just said, then you're wanting to help with um maybe school, to help with increased literacy scores and help to um let's see, I'm trying to think because that was so still so broad. Um Maybe to help to stop truancy,
Yes,
to help with prevent bullying. So by providing parents with better resources for them to work with their children, equip them better for school, those are the problems that you're going to help address.
yes.
Okay. Because now you guys, when you answer this question, what problem are you trying to solve? One of the first things that happen
Hmm.
when people are filling in their application is you start writing out what you're going to do. What
Okay.
problem are you going to solve? We're going to work with parents to do such and such. We're going to do after school classes but that's not saying what problem are you going to solve. This question would say something like, our programs are going to reduce absenteeism in schools. Our programs are going to work with parents to reduce substance abuse that is happening with children between the ages of 12 and 18. You're talking about the problem, not all of the activities. So
Okay.
really pay attention to what the question is in a grant application, because that's what tends to happen is we start talking about the verb or the actions of what we're going to do instead of explaining the problem. Your
And
actions
wouldn't,
are going to go ahead. I'm sorry.
and wouldn't it be good to find those who are funding those type of things instead of just going writing a whole bunch of grants because somebody got a lot of money to give you?
That's where you are targeting those funders that their mission aligns with what you're going to do. So when you're searching your grant funders, you will be looking for those kinds of funders. Absolutely, Tadar. Okay. Then who is your target population? So that's why, like I was saying, when you're identifying the problem, that goes right along with knowing who you're targeting. Are you targeting youth ages, 5 to 14 for your after school tutoring program? Or are you targeting seniors 55 and older for your senior activities program? Or are you targeting single mothers for your program to help with job training? Again, know your target population. Now, if you have several programs, that means that you may have several target populations, like a YMCA. They're depending on the why and the programs they're offering, they're happy helping people from 0 to 99 because they have a child care center for infants. They have after school program and basketball programs for kids in school. They have senior exercise classes for seniors 55 and older. So, but each program has its target population. Okay. And again, stop me if you have any questions. And then how will you address the need? Now that you've identified the problems, which is and this shows up in your needs statement in a grant application, how are you going to address the need? So this is where now you're talking about the steps that you're going to take to address the problems that you've identified. So like Vicky, for instance, you have a program director that's going to hold parenting classes for the parents that you're focusing on. And um, through those parenting classes, you'll bring on mental health counselors to talk about how parents can identify if their kids are having any mental health issues. You will have a bullying expert to come on to talk about identifying signs of being bullied, because these are all serious things. More children now are killing themselves over bullying, and cyberbullying is coming in on that too. So look at what's going on with your target populations and how can you collaborate with the individuals that can help you address the needs that you want to address. Okay,
May I ask a question here?
absolutely.
I know for the state of Arkansas, they use there's a database. It's called Alice, but it's an acronym or um, yes, an acronym that's for basically Arkansans who are living on lower income. And so you can pull up on this database, for example, a specific county. It will show you things like educational needs, where that county sits is in relation to education, things like that. And I'm asking because it sounds like when we're answering this question about the problem, it would help if it's aligned with an issue in that area of where we live or where we want to provide the service.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Mhm.
Will or are how does one, let's say I happen to know about Alice, but what if I lived in a different state? Is there a database or website where I could go and find this research?
Yes, it is. And I'm bringing up something now. Um, I want to show this since you mentioned Alice. Let's see. Okay, so you guys see Alice on the screen, right?
Yes.
Okay. So this is what you were speaking of, right?
Yes.
Okay. So this is and you guys this is alicenar.org, and it'll be part of my recap also since we brought this up, but I just want to show you something. In your particular city or county or whatever. So for instance, who was that? Was it LaShawn? Who was that speaking?
Yes.
Okay, LaShawn. So let's say, since you said Arkansas, and what is your program focus?
We can do the literacy focus.
So literacy,
Yes.
and I'm putting in grants, okay? And I'm going to put 2025. You see all the way I'm searching right here, right?
Yes.
What is going to pull the funders that have that mission? What word?
Puts
Literacy,
yes, literacy.
okay? Because if I change it to bullying, then it's going to pull up the grants that's saying bullying. I'm just showing you
Right.
the simple way that first helps you to initially pull those funders.
Yes.
Okay. So when I scroll down, Arkansas STEM funding sources, Arkansas EFA scholarship, Arkansas literacy tutoring grant. See,
Yes.
grants for literacy
Oh,
in libraries. Now, if we take off Arkansas, because there are national funders also. So let's take off Arkansas because you don't want to lock yourself out of any other funders.
right.
Now, Better World Books, adult literacy grants. Now, see, it brought up adult because we didn't put a specific target population.
Right.
If I
Okay.
put youth, it's all about learning how to do the applicable searching.
Mm-hmm.
So you notice that before, when I scrolled, right after I scrolled down a little bit, it said adult. You notice it's gone now. So the more
Yes.
specific you can do your searching, the less junk you will have to go through. Okay.
Yes.
Let's
Okay.
change this.
Thank
Let's
you.
change this word to youth development. I'm just and when it's two words, I put it in quotes so it locks those words together. So I don't need this youth here. So now it's going after youth development. Look at all the categories that come up first before I even press enter. Press enter. Now it brings up other funders for you. You notice they're not saying literacy now. They're saying youth development.
Right.
So this is how you can start finding specifics for your grants. Okay.
Okay.
Any questions, comments, anyone? Okay, so let's go back over.
Well, can you give me an idea of something like that I can put in for Joshua's house?
Oh, okay, I will. I'll go back over to that, Vicki, in just a moment. Let's see. Next, what are your project goals and objectives? So, like Vicki, you were talking about, like when we talked about the parents and holding up your and what are some of the resources or things you're going to do. Now, this is where you guys have to learn how to talk about your goals and objectives. So your goals and objectives would be to help reduce absenteeism with the youth that you're serving, to help empower parents to not only be better parents, but to serve the needs by serving the needs of their children and recognizing what the needs are. You know, your goals and objectives will be based off of what you say you're going to do. And goals and objectives are nothing but your outcomes. Okay. So a lot of times funders, and it's important to understand their wording. They may not say goals and objectives. They may just ask, what outcomes do you expect from your programs? Okay. How will you measure your success? So after you talk about what outcomes you expect, how are you going to measure them? How are you going to know that you're reaching your anticipated goals and objectives? And then what is your budget breakdown? So you can't develop a budget until you take care of these upper bullets, because so often when people come to me, they'll say, Sherita, I need $100,000 or I need to get just $10,000. And I say, well, what is it for? Well, we're trying to develop our youth program, but yes, what is the money for? And I have to force people to think about what are you going to write in the grant to explain to the funder what you're going to do with that $10,000. And you can't come up with that explanation until you know what the problem is, until you understand who your target population is, and then you're writing out what are you going to do, what are your programs and services, and then what do you need to run those programs and services? What staff do you need? What kind of materials? Do you need transportation? Are you taking them on field trips? Do you need tickets? And then after you outline all of that, that's where you come up with how much money you need. Okay. When you are developing a budget, it's just like planning for a vacation, because now people will say, well, Sherita, I've never done this before, so I don't know how much I need. Have you ever taken a vacation to a place you've never gone? Any of you? Someone?
I went to France and I'd never gone to France. I went to
Natalie.
Italy.
Hey, Natalie. I didn't know you were on. She's another one of my, oh my goodness, I just love you, Natalie. Natalie is in Los Angeles and she has, what's your organization?
The Black Entertainment Museum Foundation.
Yes, ma'am. And Natalie, you work in the for-profit arena and the nonprofit arena.
Correct.
Yes, yes, yes. So go ahead. You were going to say something.
Yeah, no, I took a trip to France, Greece, Italy, all last year, and I'd never been to any one of those places.
So Natalie, did it stop you from going because it was new, or even planning the trip and not knowing how much money you needed?
No, it didn't stop me.
So what is the process when you're going somewhere and you've never been before? How do you figure out how much money you're going to need?
Well, we took a credit card.
Uh-huh.
That's one reason.
Now, and before going, you did some research, right?
Yeah, before going, because I actually went over there for a race, to do a marathon in France. But we researched where we were going to stay at. We figured out where the race was going to start. I got a hotel room. I had to figure out how to get around. So we planned for the transit. We planned, we didn't know where we were going to eat though. That was one thing. But we
But
also
you
knew
knew
that,
about how many times a day you wanted to eat, right?
correct,
And
correct.
about how many times a day do we want to eat?
At least three.
At least 3.
At least
So,
three.
so what you're doing, you guys, the same way what you're doing when you're planning a vacation, you are doing budget projections. You're thinking about, okay, we want to eat. We're going to need transportation. We have to get a hotel. And you're looking at what are those approximate costs. Did that scare you to do that, Natalie?
No, not
Not at
really.
all, right?
No, no, because I had planned it beforehand. We even planned to do the black tour that you spoke about. One of your friends, one of the people, one of your clients does over there, and took that as
Yes,
well.
Monique Wells in
Yes.
Paris.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And so, you guys, all I'm saying is just relax. You've been doing budget projections all your life. You're just doing it for a new program. Think about what is that program going to do? Who do you want to work with? What kind of staff will you need? Will you need them every day or just the weekend? Will you All you have to do is think through the process, and it's just like planning for a vacation. Does that help when you think about budget projections now?
Yes, it makes sense.
Yes. So the nonprofit arena, and when you're writing grants, is not asking you to provide or to think in any way that you haven't already been doing, whether it's running your household. We have to think about what money will we need next month to project our bills. We don't know exactly how much our gas bill is going to be or light bill, but we can only go by previously what we have paid, right? That's what you're doing when you're designing programs. That's what you're doing when you're deciding what I'm going to need to spend. Because I hear it all the time. Well, Sherita, I don't know how much. We've never done it. I've never paid that kind of staff. If you've never paid that kind of staff, what do? You research online to see what does someone in that kind of position, what is the average pay? And Natalie, thank you so much. And thank you for being on.
No problem.
And so again, you guys, just relax and just think through your programs and services. Um, and then lastly, you the after budgets and your program projections and all that, the other thing that they include is, does your project align again with the funder's mission and priorities, essentially focusing on demonstrating the need for your project, your organization's capacity to execute it. Now, the organization's capacity, if you are a new organization, then the capacity is relying on you and your past experience. That's why when I'm working with a client or when I'm teaching in my class, we're pulling all of who you are and what you've been doing. And I'm showing you how all of your past, whatever you've been doing, even if it's volunteering at the church or working in HR for 30 years or running a small business, and even though that business didn't work, then you moved on to the next thing. That doesn't mean failure. That's showing a journey and track record of various experiences. A lot of times people think because of different things that have happened in their life, that's a negative. No, no, no. When you've gone through a journey, there's experiences that you've learned. Even if a company did not make it, you've learned why it didn't make it. So we use all of that kind of information to still show how you're going to make the organization that you are establishing or new program that you're establishing, how you know that that's going to work and you're going to do it no matter what. And that's the important thing, to show a funder, yes, we're asking you for the money, but we're going to do it no matter what. And that's why it's important when we're building your budgets, we show the in kind, how much time you've been, the blood, sweat, and tears that you've been putting in, no matter what. See, most people tend to not show in kind, which is one of the most valuable things you could ever have. And in kind or services or donated equipment or someone letting you use their facility and not paying or not paying the full rate, anything that you have received that is not monetary is an in-kind donation. Okay? Oh, I just see that that's not all the way there. That's crazy. So anyway, any questions? So Vicky, I know that you have a question and we'll go back to the screen, but before I do that, are there any other questions? Come on, you guys. I survive off of your questions. Don't be scared.
It's really useful, and I just want to thank you for hosting this. It's putting a lot of things in a perspective, especially sharing kind of like, just the basic search. I think it helps when you kind of know, okay, what issues are, there in the area. So that those funders or other larger, out, like you said, outside of our states, we don't want to limit ourselves. It
Mhm.
helps to kind of have the thinkers on in this arena because you're not thinking in terms of this. So thank you for introducing us to this world so we know how valuable, taking one of your classes would be to accomplish these goals.
Oh, and thank you so much. And you guys, most people don't realize how entrenched the nonprofit arena is in the whole gross domestic profit of the United States. And many of you that have taken my class or sat in on sessions like this, I've talked about that the nonprofit sector is the third largest business sector in the United States, only falling behind retail and manufacturing. Oh, and I see Dominique is on. Hi, Dominique Hart. She's a client I'm working with right now and a longtime colleague. And thank you for being on, Dominique.
Hello. This is great.
And,
Thank you
and
so
Dominique, you have a for-profit and a nonprofit that we're establishing.
Yes, indeed. I'm really excited about it. I've had my branding and marketing for over 10 years and looking to do more in the space of helping more small business owners and nonprofits with expanding their marketing and branding to the level that really makes them competitive in the market. Oftentimes we have to turn people away because they don't have enough of a budget to work with us in the agency. And I'm really looking forward to the nonprofit helping them in major ways because I believe in every client that we get. And
Oh,
I want
absolutely.
so yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And you guys, like many of you, every company needs branding and branding tools. I mean, the way you present yourself, even on social media, is branding you. And you may not have the knowledge to do what could best represent you, or may not have the graphic ability or whatever. And so, working with someone like Dominique could be essential. And so, for her to now have a nonprofit that she's establishing that can work with those individuals, Dominique not only can go after branding money, but she can go after entrepreneurial development, small business sustainability, leadership development. I mean, when you're going after grants, you guys, you've got to know all the other aspects that you're touching, that you're making a difference as you're doing what you're doing. And that opens you up to a whole lot of other pots of money. Thank you, Dominique. Angela. Angela, I know you from is it North Carolina or South Carolina?
North Carolina. It's in Greensboro.
Yes, yes. It's good to see you on. Girl,
Yes,
y'all have some of the best food there in the world. When I traveled there, I thought I was gonna gain 100 pounds by the time I left.
it's good food. But yeah,
It's
I have a for-profit now. I signed up through I was signing up my salon through Secretary of State in my town, or city or state or something like that. But I'm currently working, but I'm not ready to like start it up yet. I guess I didn't know whether you have some startup grants or so for a salon but I signed up for an LLC, a for profit.
there are startup funds available, but unless you're in a really rural area, see, in rural areas, for profits can go after more dollars than in an area that's urban because they want to sustain small towns. So there's pots of money in rural areas, and it's called rural development funding. If you're in an area where there's 100,000 people or less, they will fund more for-profit startups to keep a town and jobs circulating in those areas. When you're in a really urban area, like you're in Greensboro, right? Or you're close to that municipality. And so you may not be able to go after the grants like you would want.
It's like,
Go ahead. I'm
okay, because I mean, I'm kind of like, I'm in Greensboro, but it's like kind of like almost the city, like country or so. But I'm not sure if that really, because I'm not too far from Mount Zion Baptist Church or New Jerusalem, so
Mhm.
I didn't know whether that's considered. It's still Greensboro. It's not really the country.
Yeah, you're
Like,
probably still within that county, so it may not fund you the way it would in a more rural area. But if you're not wanting to develop your own nonprofit for what you're wanting to do, like let's say that in your salon, you're talking about a beauty salon.
yes, I do.
So let's say that you want to create after school programs for young people that are interested in going into the beauty industry. You can collaborate with a nonprofit. They serve as your fiscal agent. And now you can go after grants to cover
Okay,
that program. It still benefits the for-profit because now you're not having to burden your for-profit budget with paying out those dollars, and it creates a community outreach program.
right.
Okay.
Okay, because I thought about starting a 501c3, but I needed to focus on my for profit, get it off the ground. That's what I was
Well,
focusing on. But I wanted to
act-
do some volunteer work at Gifford.
actually
It's
having
called
your,
Gifford.
I'm sorry,
I
go
wanted
ahead.
to do some volunteer work at Gifford Nonprofit Consortium, like start collaborating either with the Y or something like that, or YMCA or so, or YWCA, or either like I said, Gifford, I think it was Gifford, like I said, Gifford Nonprofit Consortium, or either Launch Greensboro. Just get back in the community again, get back in the city again, and
Uh-huh.
be more active.
Well, what some of my clients have found that when they go on and have their nonprofit operating along with their for-profit, they saw that they both took off at
Okay,
because the thing is that when you develop your nonprofit where it can go right along on the same footprint that you're on in your for-profit, what
okay.
that does is opens up doors for you to get funding that normally you would have had to wait on.
Right. And I wanted to do both, but I said I wanted to like partner with someone. That's why I was like, could you help me with some ideas or so, or either can I just collab with you or so to help me with my nonprofit as well as my for-profit. Even I'm in another city or state. I didn't know whether that would work out or not.
Well,
But
I don't do as much collaborating because I work with so many organizations. And the only
okay,
time that we serve as a fiscal agent is when we are, if my client has that need while I'm developing their nonprofit. But you can be looking locally for a nonprofit that can collaborate with you.
right.
Um,
That's what I wanted to do.
yes. Now, you guys, you just, when you are collaborating with a nonprofit and they're going to serve as your fiscal agent, think of it in the same way as getting a cosigner. Would you just ask anybody to cosign for you? And would just any stranger cosign for you? So when you are asking someone to be your fiscal agent, they're actually that organization that is almost like they're your umbrella, but you're answering to them the whole time that you're on that grant. So make sure that it's someone that you can talk to and work with on a long-term basis. Because, for instance, if you get a $50,000 or $100,000 grant for this next 12 months, they're kind of like your supervisor through that grant, not your whole company. And so as we're monitoring, are you using the dollars the way you said you were going to? Because it's kind of like they're responsible. It's like that co-signer. They want to make sure that you're going to pay that car note on time. You know, are you keeping up on your insurance? Because if you wreck the car and now you're driving a car that's frowning, and they're still responsible on that car, they don't want to, now they're responsible for that car and the right fender's been up looking like it's frowning and mad and you know decreasing the value of
Right.
the car. So it's the same kind of thing. That's the best comparison that I can give you for that. Okay. On if I didn't say it, thank you, Dominique, for coming on. Let's see. Any other questions? Let's see. I've got some folks on here that I don't know if I've dealt with, or let's see. We got Joshua Love, Belinda Randall. Um, hey, Cassandra Dilworth. I didn't know you were on there. And how's Mr. Wardell? And Um, any other questions?
I don't have a question, but I do want to say thank you for this information. It was very valuable,
Thank you,
especially
Nikki.
to receive it for free. I just got this information from Ethel and Donald Rucker on yesterday, so I'm
Good.
grateful for this.
And Nikki, now where are you?
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma. Good, good. So we've got a really good mix of people from all over the nation. Nikki, what kind of funding are you possibly interested in?
We actually, our church, the Refreshing, just received a HUD grant. This was our first grant. So when you said that the governments are very hard, oh yes, they are very hard. And this was our first time applying for a grant of that size. And it's a lot of work that goes with it. But it was a supportive grant with the HUD, home art program. And so
Uh-huh.
we got the supportive services. So we would be
Good.
helping the homeless.
Did you get the grant or you're applying for the grant?
No, we were approved for it. There was 14 people that applied out of that round, and 3 of us were approved. So that tells you how tough that was. Yes,
Outstanding, outstanding. Good,
grateful,
good,
grateful.
good. I am so wonderful. It's so wonderful to hear that. Anyone else?
Sharita, is it possible to go back to that the last email, not email, but to
For those
PowerPoint?
questions?
Yeah,
You
for
want to
the
go, you want those
questions.
questions? Okay. And you
Yeah,
guys can screenshot that too. Let me go to it.
yeah.
1 second. Come on.
And I was late getting on, and I don't know if you addressed the part about, you know, the nation or whatever getting rid of grants or government grants.
Yeah, that was the first part of it.
Okay, so I'll read you. This will be available, right? So I can go back and
Mm-hmm.
listen. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
because I've been asked to change my mission statement and make it not so DEI, and I'm like, I can't change it. I'm a Black museum, so yeah,
Well,
that's
yeah, you know what? And I'm going to be covering a lot of that. I can't do the deep dive into this,
right.
but I'm going to be covering what are the trigger words that you should not use now in your grant applications. And
Mhm.
DEI, you guys, you want to be all inclusive. And so to just even change some of your language to being all inclusive, so you can change it, Natalie, but it's
I
just
mean,
oh, and do you see my screen? Let's see.
yeah, I see his screen. Yeah, no, the only thing is that I'm a Black entertainment museum, so there's nothing I can really change because what would make me different than the Academy or the Grammy Museum? You know
Well,
what I'm saying?
you would just say that, that you talk about that because this kind of museum did not exist before. And
Correct.
so you're talking about just giving that kind of exposure. You're not using the DEI wording as much as making sure that everyone um, is known, and whether it's their greatness, their impact that they had on the movie industry, you're showing all of the other outcomes.
Right.
Okay. There is a way, you guys. And so it's just you're going to have to be a little bit more specific. Now, I cannot tell you that it may get tighter as far as submitting, but that's why you got to make sure that your grant proposals are well written. Because for those that have been receiving federal funding, if their federal funding is cut, then they're a lot more funding. They're going to be going after other funding sources that you're also dipping into. But let me also say this, excuse me, when funding has diminished in other ways, just like whether it's a down economy from the 1930s depression to the
Mhm.
depression to the down economy that we had, back in 2008 and up through 2011, other funders, other people that had money stepped up and became funders, and so that kind of thing has always happened historically, and because what happens also is those that are not private foundations that are being taxed very heavy on the money they make, they realize that if they also donate, that they're not taxed as heavy, and the money that they give is a write-off. And that's what I also want you guys to understand when you have a for-profit and a nonprofit. Suppose your for-profit Oh, and Natalie, you do see that screen, right? That you
Yeah,
wanted.
I got it. I took it. I took the picture.
Okay.
Good. Thank you.
So everybody got that screen if you want it, screenshot or whatever.
Hello, ma'am.
Hi.
Hi, this is Anthony Schaefer in San Diego.
Yes, Ann.
Um, I just had a question, and I don't know if it makes sense. You showed a screen earlier where there's the companies that or organizations that offer billions of dollars,
Mhm.
and you just touched on it's a tax write-off for them, and then you mentioned the for-profit, nonprofit. So
Mhm.
so are you saying that your for-profit can fund your nonprofit and have it as a tax write-off?
Absolutely.
Woo! Praise God.
You're donating to a 501c3 organization.
Wow. It's a win-win.
You guys, that's why
You're,
some of these large corporations are funders.
you're allowed about 1/3 of your income as a tax write-off for charitable a donation.
And that's just you personally. I'm not talking about your
Yeah,
for-profit company and being a sponsor
right,
to your nonprofit. That's why I've
right.
worked with a lot of celebrities. They may have had a great year, and they're like, "Whoa, I'm going to be taxed on this." And now they develop their own 501c3 to do something that they wanted to do in community anyway. And now instead of giving their own personal income, it's money to their for-profit. Their for-profit donates over to their nonprofit, and now they can dictate what those dollars are going to do instead of it being taxed, like I told you earlier. When you're taxed and it goes to government funding, and then they decide what they're going to do with your money that you've been taxed. You just have a little bit more control on what your dollars are going to do.
So would you say it's more easier to go after those private organizations versus going through the government grants?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, great. I'm looking forward to joining your classes.
Yeah,
And I have one of our sister Samantha. She's on with me. She's a little
good.
quiet. Say good morning, ma'am, Samantha. Um, but yeah, we're excited. We're learning a lot from you today.
Oh, you guys, Samantha, how are you? There's so many ways that not only your for-profit can benefit, and I'm not trying to tell you to create a for-profit and a non for the nonprofit just to run your for-profit. No, not at all. What I want you to understand is you can reach way more customers or clients, those that you normally would have turned away. That's going to impact community. It's going to uplift those individuals. That's what grants in the nonprofit arena is for. You've got individuals here that you can work with that can pay you. You got individuals here that can't afford you. By getting grants and either collaborating with a nonprofit or starting your own, you even the playing field. That's why the nonprofit exists. That's why the nonprofit arena exists. It's just a lot of smaller companies don't realize that that's how Target gives $5 million a week in grant funding now. With all you guys, I understand that, like yesterday they were saying do not spend any money and let's boycott Target and let's boycott Walmart and let's but you guys, I'm looking at it from a whole nother perspective. I see the dollars that these large corporations give into our community anyway. Do you know that by boycotting these Targets and Walmarts and all these other companies, we're going to wonder why now child care programs are cut in our community, why there's no more money going to our youth basketball and baseball programs. What? Because if you take money away from Target over here, they're going to take this money back from over here. It's all intertwined. We get mad about one thing and take our ball and don't realize that by taking that ball, now you've got all these people that were playing with that ball that no longer can play and they can't afford their own ball. So now next week your house is broken into because instead of them being on the basketball court and playing basketball and what they love, they're breaking into somebody's house to go get some money to get that back. It all is connected. So the more that I can teach you about all the interconnections and all of what's available when you are operating in this arena, and all the lives that you can touch and all the businesses that you can sustain, and with that all the jobs that you can create, and all the after school programs that you can create, which is going to reduce crime, which is going to stop individuals from going into the prison systems, which is going to stop more suicides because you're helping with mental health, which is going to help stop bullying because you're helping with team building and leadership. It's all connected. It's like when we stub our toe, our brain tells us to say, ouch. You know, you guys, everything in our body is connected. Everything in this nonprofit arena is connected to the for-profit arena, which is connected to the government, which is connected. It all is intertwined. And the more you understand it, the more you will know how to operate within the perimeters and grow and sustain. Okay? Any other questions? We've got about 10 minutes to go. I want to go back over to the screen and hey, Carla.
Hi, Sherita. It's been a while. I've been trying to find you for years. So how do I get in touch with you now?
Well, you're connected now, and go to my website, and under where it says contact us, make sure you're on my database. And that way you're not relying on just what I post on Facebook or social media. And yeah.
So what is that website?
Philanthropyalliance.org. And I'll make sure that it's also in the recap. Okay.
When
So
you were
I'm going
talking
to go
about
back. Go ahead. Is that Tadar?
yes, when you were talking about everything being interconnected, a lot of the things that people have against DEI and critical race theory is that this country is founded on the laws of nature, nature's God. And some of the people on that end go against that, and they put out lawsuits and try to get laws passed to where those who believe in God can't speak about God or can't use the words that God used. And then they try to make some of that stuff seem like it's part of our history instead of just a human thing. And when you deal with the human entity, it's an easier deal, like you say, when you're all inclusive. And that's where I worked when I was working in the prison system. I retired from the prison system as a chaplain, and I worked with everybody. And the guys got together and had them allow them to give me an appreciation ceremony when I left because your sentence was due time, not for me to put more pressure on you. I don't care what you were when they came out with the HIV stuff and all that there. A lot of people were scared. They put all the guys that had this stuff over in one area. I went over there and talked with them, sat down, drink coffee with them, stuff like that. People saw I
Yes.
treated them as human beings, and that's what
Yes.
people are looking for.
Well, you
But
guys, what you have to understand is the more that we can create programs to reach individuals at the earlier ages, we won't have the higher numbers in prisons. We don't have to worry about who's president or who, because the thing is, when you just help people be better people, and that's why I love reaching all the different kinds of programs and services. When you just help people be better people, and you don't have to worry about what language can we use and what language can we not use. Just do the job of creating the best programs that you can create. Then whether it's DEI or DEI being eliminated, whether it's white supremacy or not, whether it's um, lack of cultural awareness or racism or whatever, when you help individuals be better individuals, like let's say that one of my organizations I'm working with is out here in rural Arkansas. It's all white, no black, period. And I heard a statement, one white kid had never really interacted with black and was very racist. And now is one of the ones that want to talk to me the most. And just because when there hasn't been interaction and at the tables, the conversation is totally racist. Once someone is exposed, and once someone sees that it's not all of what they thought, that's why I'm saying no matter what it is, you guys, the more that our programs can do the job of what we're saying it's going to do, we're going to impact beyond what you're doing. And it won't, and we will rear better individuals that now will come up and work in politics and be in Congress and be at the Senate and be able to speak up and understand fairness. And we've got to do a better job. You guys, do you understand that right now we are still dealing with the crack epidemic of the 1980s? For instance, in the 1980s, when I moved to Los Angeles, which was 1988, my boys were in like the third grade and the sixth grade. at the age of around 27, I think I was at that time, if I would have been that parent that got on crack and now my boys are not being reared at home, they are the adults right now. And they have my grandchildren that are 18 and 13. And so you've got to look at that from my boys' age, which are 47 and 43, they didn't get the rearing they needed. And they grew up doing the way that they were doing. And that's why we see all this craziness on social media. And and then they had kids, and now their kids have gotten less rearing. And so now, when I just had to deal with my aunt as her power of attorney and dealing with her in a memory care, the same people that we need are those individuals that are my son's ages, that are the nurses in there that are supposed to be taking care, but they're on their phone and they're pinching seniors and they don't have compassion and they're rearing children. So, what are their children going to produce? You guys, if we in the nonprofit arena don't start doing a better job, it is our fault. I don't care how you want to claim it. This is our watch where this is happening. This is our watch where we're talking about that people don't speak up in Congress or Senate. This is our watch, and we have to take ownership for it. And we've got to do better with our programs and services in making sure that if these parents are not equipped in the way that we knew that we were, and being and talked to with our grandparents around and our parents and neighbors watching, and you knew you couldn't do something down the street because nosy Miss Johnson is down there, but now people are moving everywhere and everybody's afraid to say anything and no one is helping each other to build a stronger village. You guys, this is our watch and we all are to blame. And if we do not do better, every one of us on this call is going to have to look up at somebody needing them as our nurse or our caregiver. And you have to know that even if you think it's not impacting you, it's going to. And if we don't do a better job with our programs and services and talking to our neighbors and being kind and having empathy and teaching team building and collaboration, we all are going to suffer. Because there is absolutely no way that we were paying $10,000 a month for my aunt to be in a memory care facility and she has on dirty clothes and she has diaper rash or has thrown up on her clothes and it has dried up because of lack of care. We got to do something. And it doesn't matter if Tadara, in mentioning God, I cannot go 5 minutes without thanking Jehovah for something. I don't care what, when you are focused, and I'm not trying to step on anyone's feet, but the way I believe, Jehovah can stop anything. As long as we keep our eyes on God or whoever you believe in and do what is right and implement what you know would be pleasing, he cannot destroy it. So stay focused on your programs and services and do what you know is right. Use the dollars for what you said you were going to do. Talk about it at your kitchen tables and your Thanksgiving dinners. And as you're, for those that might be having a racist uncle or aunt, stop letting them talk like that. Talk about the people that you are working with. The only way that changes happen is to talk about it not on the picket line, not at a Black Lives Matter, not at a white supremacist meeting, but talk about it at your tables, in your classrooms, riding in your car with your children, and those whatever your children are hearing you say is what will be represented when they're around their friends and at their friends' homes or at school. So anyway, I need to get off of my bandwagon. Any other questions? I know that
Yes.
it's 30, but go ahead.
Oh, Sharita, there was one question in the chat.
Yes.
Someone asked about if you can show the slide that showed the grant companies in your presentation.
I don't have time to go back to that because it's 10:30, but you guys are getting the recording.
Oh, okay.
So what I wanted to do is show a little bit more searching. Anything that's on the slides, you guys can go back and see. So I'm sorry but that's why I was saying, you guys, I won't be looking at the chat because I don't have anyone that's monitoring that. So I'm sorry I didn't see that earlier, but I wanted to show a few more searches. Dominique, did you have any other question though?
Oh yeah, my own personal question was, there's a lot of, grant platforms out there, and sometimes they can be a little bit spammy, and I don't know if it's much for today, but are there platforms that you really like that you've seen like success with clients using? Because there's so many out there, but do you have a favorite?
You see my screen?
Yes.
This is what I use, the Foundation Center Directory.
Okay.
I've used it my entire career, 30 years. It was, Candid has now taken it over, but it's still the Foundation Center Directory. This is what I use. And it's thousands on top of thousands of funders, not even a lot of the ones that I've shown you already.
Mm.
But I don't have the time to go into this one. But you guys, and if you decide you can have a monthly membership, and I think it's like $49 or something. But join it for a month and pull the funders that you want. If you don't see that you need it every month, that's why it's wonderful to do the month to month. But yes,
And
it's about fconline.foundationcenter.org.
okay.
Okay.
And then what about GuideStar? Is that the same thing as Candid, or is that another ball game?
GuideStar isn't where you go for funding. That's where you're putting in all your information, and funders like to go to GuideStar to see the nonprofits.
Yeah, that's if you work for a corporation and they do matching funds, that's definitely where they'll go to look and see if you're a legitimate 501c3 and set you up to where you can get matching funds from a corporation, from your job.
Yeah, and matching funds is like, let's say that Dominique, you got a donation of $10,000. There are some corporations that if they see you got a $10,000 donation, they will give you the same 10,000. So that's matching funds.
Understood. Thank you for that.
All righty. So now I want to go back. Let's do that simple searching like Vicky had asked about. So like, let's say that like Dominique, let's say that you want to go after small business development.
Mhm.
You notice I put it in quotes, taking off youth, small business development. And it'll bring up the grants that are for small business. Wait a minute. Do I have youth in here anymore? Small business development. Okay. Yeah, small business grants, over 1 billion in grants, small business assistance, free grants and programs, U.S. Small Business Administration. So see, it's just a matter of searching the kinds of grants that you want. Vicki, like if you wanted parenting, parenting education, it brings up funding for parenting education and family. Okay. Tadar, you mentioned working in the prison. So let's say that you wanted ex-offender funding. We don't need the quotes because it's just one word, but they might have it with the, like this. Reentry program grant funding, business grants for people previously convicted of felonies. Okay. So even if you're not worried about joining a particular site, you can do your own searching. Just you might be sitting and watching television. So, okay. Any other questions before I sign off, you guys?
Okay, thank you, Sherita. I'll be waiting for the recording. And are you
Okay,
gonna email?
great.
Hi,
I'm sorry.
Sherita.
Anyone else? What was that?
Oh, she said thank you.
Oh,
You were
hi,
going,
Carla.
hi. So you were going to put the name of your website so we could have it in the chat?
Yes. Well, you'll get it in the recap. Everything that I've said, the different ones, I'll make sure. But it's philanthropyalliance.org. Let me put that in the chat. 1 second.
Now, will we be able to work with you, or because I missed a lot of it, so we'll be able to work with you? Are you doing that again, where you work with individuals to help them get started?
Yes, like I'm doing a nonprofit class right now, and then in April I'm doing a 6-week grant writing class. And now, you guys, and I'm not saying this just to fill my class. It's best to go after grants early in the year. So I recommend, and my class is less than half price right now. It's normally a $650 class, and I'm offering it for $299. Even if you're needing to split it into 2 payments, call me. And the class is limited to 10. I think I still have 6 spaces left. So,
And those classes are all on your website, correct?
yes, they're on my website. And so, like I was saying, that's the grant. Did you guys get that in the chat? I just put my website.
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. And so, yes, like I was saying, the grant class is coming up, and I keep all my classes to 10 people or less so that everyone can get personal attention, answer your questions. We have one-on-ones. We have 2 individual one-on-ones separate from you being in the group, so I can edit your documents. If you're working as we go, your grant proposal will be written by the end of the 6-week class. It's 2 hours every Saturday for 6 weeks. If for some reason you miss it, it is recorded. So, any other questions?
Hello, my name is Tanya Pickens, and I wanted to know, you said the class starts in April. What date is that? The 1st of April?
I think it's the 6th. I'll send it in the recap, but I think it starts the 6th. And if you guys are interested in this class, the special offer for the $299 ends the 15th of this month. Or when the class fills up, if we fill these 6 spots. Any other questions? And thank you again for you guys being on. You
Well,
also
I miss you, so I'm so glad I was able to capture that.
Good. Carla, it's good to see you on. Carla, where are you? Tell them where you are.
I'm in Fort Worth, Texas.
Yes. Now, and you guys, you can feel free to share the recording once you get it with anyone. This was a free workshop, so you can share it with others. And because the more information that I can give people, the better we will do in our communities and in serving those that need to be served. Because we need to raise better adults. Okay.
I actually have one more question, Sharita. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
It was, if you're just starting your nonprofit and the grant is asking for or platforms are asking for your operational budget, are you just putting the estimated budget of what you would love to raise? Or like, how do you answer that question if you're just starting?
We're putting the in kind, like Dominique, right now, that's the budgets that I'm working on for you. You'll see the in kind. You'll see the estimated time of what you're giving. Like maybe you would have been making $50 an hour, but you're not getting that. So we would show it in the in kind that you're putting in $4,000 a month in monetary value. See, people always say, well, Sherita, we're new. We don't have an operating budget. By the time we finish, they're like, wow, I can't believe it, because you are doing something. And so just because it's not monetary, you would be showing volunteer hours. Or maybe you got, like right now, like I haven't gotten a grant for my organization. You guys, with all what I've done, I couldn't go after a grant right now because I'm not fundable here in Arkansas. I had to get here and get my farm operating, taking care of my animals, show that I've been spending how much every month I spend on the money I'm putting out to run my farm. But this farm is under my nonprofit. It's a youth program. It's teaching animal husbandry. It's going to be helping with anger management because dealing with animals help that. So everything I'm doing is for the Philanthropy Alliance Foundation. So Dominique, I'm showing my operating budget and how much I spend in feed. I'm showing how much time I'm putting into running my farm. I'm showing what I'm paying for the outbuildings that I'm putting out. But they see that Sherita Herring is donating that to the foundation. I do have an operating budget.
Oh, he's saying drop it off.
So hold on, Vicki. Let me mute you. There we go. And so, Vicki, if you do want to say something, you'll have to unmute again. So Dominique, you have an operating budget, and that's what I'm working on based off of the way we're designing your programs. And I'm just estimating what you're already putting into your organization.
Okay, thank you very much.
Mm-hmm. Well, all right, you guys. Well, I want to thank you all for being on. And again, feel free to share this. Join me on my contact us on my Facebook, on my website. And again, thank you all for being on. And have a great weekend.
Hey, hello.
Yes. What
I
was
just
that?
I just have one question on because I came in late, and I was
Yeah.
just trying to understand. Do you have to be a 501(c) to have a nonprofit?
The nonprofit makes you a 501(c)(3). You're
Okay, that's
completing the IRS paperwork to become a 501(c)(3).
okay. That's I just wanted to make sure I was getting that right. Okay.
Yes. And most funders want you to be a 501(c)(3). Why? Because then it is a write-off for them when they give to you. If you are not a 501(c)(3), that's why I was saying that you could actually go up under the fiscal agent of someone that is a 501(c)(3), so that they would fund through that organization and the dollars would still come to you. You guys, I just came over to my website just real quick for you to see that all of your programs can exist up under one organization. Like when you come here, you see that I've got the Horace Homestead Workshop, grant writing, the management training, nonprofit class, nonprofit services, Q&A with Sherita, and even when I was on the air. As far as community, this is where I'm talking about that I'm buying all the feed. And so funders, they needed to see that. So I needed to get here, establish my collaborations, working with my animals, all these things before I can be fundable for what I'm doing now. Because funders feel, well, look, you can do what you did in LA, but can you survive and do all of the magical things that you said you did in LA? Can you do it in rural Arkansas? So I couldn't get a grant the moment I got here because I didn't have a track record. Now that I've been running the barnyard and see when they come to my website, they can see the things that we've been doing. People know Gladys Kravitz. People know Ali. They know my goats, Simone and Serena. I've collaborated in the community and even with the county judge, we've done a huge community event right here on my land. So you should be representing yourself not only on your Facebooks, but they can see it when they go to your website. And we have camping. You guys, right here, right now, one of the reasons that I was almost running late, I've got a camper. I'm out there making sure the coffee bar was set up in the barn, but we have camping here. We're raising the dollars to advance because this year I'm determined to have some kind of summer program here for the local youth. Well, what's helping to do that? The camping that we offer here on the land. And what's that through? They sign up for my camping through Airbnb. Okay.
Miss Sharita, what time is your nonprofit meeting today? If I were gonna try to get in on that.
It's in 15 minutes. It's from 11 to 1.
Okay, can I do that today and maybe we could connect later on the first session?
Yes, call
Is
me
it
right
too?
after this. Call me at let me put my number in the chat.
Okay, thank you.
And call me as soon as we get off so I can get you caught up on some things. 501, let's see, 499-6171. Okay. And so you guys, again, please look into this arena more. Look at don't panic in what all you hear is happening right now as far as with the government cuts and all of that. I hope that I've shown you some things to let you know that all is not lost. We still have so many ways that we can expand and do the things that you want to do. And your nonprofit should have fee for service. The same way people pay for my workshops, you should have something also that brings in revenue, just fee for service. You should not just be relying on grants and sponsorships. You can have products, and there's so much more. And that's why my classes, I do a deeper dive, but just just start watching this arena more and learning all that you can, okay? I want to thank all of you for being on. I do have to get ready for my class that's starting now in 10 minutes. And stay connected. I would try and do another one of these. I was doing them every month, but I wasn't getting people on. And so I might start doing them again, but I don't know. It just depends because I am also running my farm and I'm doing that alone too. So anyway, have a great one. Remember, your nonprofit can be all the layers of who you are. You know, Sherita with business development, grant writing, horses, lions and tigers and bears. Oh my, you can do it all, especially through collaboration. Thank you again. This is Sherita Herring with the Philanthropy Alliance Foundation. Thank you for joining me for this free grants forum. Have a great one.